Good, happy Sunday evening, November 1st, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Sunday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Sunday evening, so let's begin. First up, we begin with COVID-19 updates. COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 11,084 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 9,098,300 number of people in the United States have tested positive. 483 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 779 number of people have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 194 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And now let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. In Manchester, 144. Let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 2438. And now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalization, and red deaths. Let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases in the purple, total current COVID-19 cases. In the orange, current hospitalization. And let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases in the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalization, red deaths, and blue recovered. And let's take a look at this chart here. Positive PCR test rate, daily PCR test. Let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. And let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Nashua health officials warn of potential community exposure at city restaurant. Officials: person diagnosed with COVID-19 was at Texas Roadhouse from October 22nd to October 23rd. A person diagnosed with COVID-19 was in the bar area of a Nashua restaurant on October 22nd and October 23rd, city health officials announced Saturday. Nashua health officials say there was the potential for community exposure of the coronavirus at the Texas Roadhouse on Amherst Street on the following days: Thursday, October 22nd from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Friday, October 23rd from 11 a.m. to close. Anyone who visited Texas Roadhouse during those times should self-quarantine, monitor for symptoms, and get tested, health officials said. The health and safety of our staff and customers is our top priority. We are following CDC guidelines for cleaning and disinfecting our facility. We will follow all reopening guidance for food service establishments from the state. Eric Martin, Texas Roadhouse Director of Food Safety, said in a statement released by Nashua health officials. For testing options, visit nashua.gov/1383/testing. Several other community COVID-19 exposures were announced by New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services in October. And it was a busy day for campaigning for Senator Jean Shaheen and Corky Messner. Let's take a look at these photos right here. So today, Senator Jean Shaheen speaks to volunteers in Concord, and Corky Messner for Senate meets with small business owners in Wolfboro. And as you know, only 2 days until Election Day. And then people will be going to the polls on Tuesday. So it's getting down to the final wire and getting down to the politicians campaigning for last-minute campaign votes as people get ready to head to the polls. And a lot of absentee ballots this year as well due to COVID-19 pandemic. Matt Mowers for Congress. He was at Brown's in Seabrook 56 minutes ago. Take a look at these photos. Very cool. Campaigns make final push to turn out voters. Let's take a listen to that video right now in that report. Campaigns make final push. Before polls close on Tuesday evening, political campaigns will send out flocks of volunteers and staffers to shake loose every last voter. On Saturday morning, 72 hours before polling place opened, Dan LeClaire of Manchester and Elaine Hansen of Goffstown listened to Senator Jean Shaheen and Rep. Chris Pappas and Annie Custer speak at the Carpenters Union Training Center in Manchester before they grab a stack of flyers and hit the doors. LeClaire and Hansen, both union carpenters, said they always volunteer on political campaigns. Being involved in politics feel like an important part of being in the union, LeClaire said, adding he's spent months working on Democrat campaigns this year. We usually do our best to work with our brothers and sisters, LeClaire said. Help them out, support the people who support us, he said. But LeClaire said not all Carpenter Union members support Democrats. We do have folks who back the president, he said. Some you can have a conversation with, Hansen said, but some have made up their minds, which he said is okay. We're not going to start fights, he said. We give them all the information we can, but we're not strong-arming anybody. LeClaire said anybody he hoped he could make a difference this weekend by giving more voters information that could help them vote. It's my future. It's everybody else's future, LeClaire said. For the young guys to guys getting ready to retire, when volunteering, the campaign staffers call voters or knock on their doors this weekend. They're likely trying to persuade people who don't often vote to get to the polls. Greg Moore, state director of libertarian advocacy group Americans for Prosperity knocked doors in Manchester's North End on Saturday morning, trying to persuade Republican-leaning voters to turn out for Governor Chris Sununu. "We're not going against Dan Phelps," Moore said, referring to the Democrat candidate for governor. "We're up against the couch." This year, Moore said, the couch is losing. Even the subset of infrequent voters, Moore and many other volunteers targeted over the weekend, seem to be interested in the 2020 race. "I've gone days without talking to someone who's not planning on voting," Moore said as he walked between houses on Earhart Street. "Voters are excited," he said, and campaign staff and volunteers are too. "This is crunch time. This is go time. This is the last chance." And that does it for this news report right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this news report on the Riley King Network. Goodbye, everyone. Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Trump launches final battleground pitch. Biden focuses on Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Let's take a listen to that video right now in that report. Trump launches final battleground pitch. Biden focuses on PA. President Donald Trump is mounting one final test of whether the massive crowds that often show up at his signature rallies will translate into votes as he finishes the final 48 hours of his re-election campaign with a dazzling onslaught of events in the battleground states that could decide the race. President will hold 5 rallies in 5 states on Sunday alone. He'll hold 7 more on Monday to close out the final full day of the campaign. Down in the polls and at a cash disadvantage to his Democratic rival, Joe Biden, Trump is turning to rallies to keep his message in front of voters. But it's unclear whether they will broaden his appeal beyond those already likely to vote for him. And the packed, often unmasked crowds risk deepening the pandemic at a time when coronavirus cases are surging across the U.S. But Trump still relishing his late-stage upset in 2016 campaign, seeing his showmanship as a central element of his outsider appeal that he hopes will resonate again this year. Let me ask you, is there a better place to be anytime, anywhere than a Trump rally? Trump asked a massive crowd Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. They responded in roaring appeal. With more than 91 million votes already cast, Trump and Biden are out of time to reshape the race. Instead, they're focusing on their base, making sure that any potential supporters have either already voted or plan to do so in person on Tuesday. For Biden, that means paying close attention to black voters who are a critical part of the coalition he needs to build to win. His team is confident in Biden's standing with women, college-educated voters, and those who live in suburbs. But some Democrats worry that voters of color may not be excited about Biden and won't show up in force to support him, which could be devastating in fierceless, contested battleground states like Pennsylvania and Michigan. The challenge is extravagant by the Democrat push this year to encourage voting by mail to prevent people waiting in line during a pandemic. But that runs counter to the tradition of some black voters who prefer to vote in person on Election Day. Most black voters in Philly have been skeptical of mail-in voting, said Joe Hill, a veteran Democrat operative turned lobbyist from the city. A lot of us have gotten our ballots already, Hill said, but added Election Day has always been everything in Philadelphia. Biden will spend much of Sunday in Philadelphia encouraging voters to turn out. He'll participate in Souls to the Polls event that aimed at encouraging black church congregations to organize and vote. He held first in-person campaign events with former President Barack Obama on Saturday in the prominently black cities of Detroit and Flint, Michigan. Obama will also campaign for Biden on Monday in Georgia and South Florida, another area of potential concern if Latino voters sit out the election. As the largest city in the state that could decide the presidency, Philadelphia has already held a special significance for Biden, just 30 miles from his longtime home in Wilmington, Delaware. Biden planted his campaign headquarters in Philadelphia before the pandemic forced most of his staff to work remotely. The city gets intense focus because it's such a deep trove of Democrat votes, especially non-white voters. Democrat Hillary Clinton lost Pennsylvania by almost 45,000 votes 4 years ago, even as she fell just 4,800 votes shy to Obama's Philadelphia County total in 2012. Clinton's biggest problem was that she lost ground in Trump other parts of the state beyond Philadelphia and its suburbs. According to an analyst by University of Florida, Professor Michael McDonald, a nonpartisan political data expert, almost 2.3 million Pennsylvania voters had returned absentee ballots as of Friday, out of almost 3.1 million requested. That's a statewide return rate of 74.2%. Philadelphia's return rate was tick higher at 74.6%, but it had the higher raw total of outstanding ballots, with more than 101,000 statewide registered Democrats maintained a solid advantage over Republicans on returned ballots, 1.54 million to about 520,000 in a separate analyst. The Democrat data firm Target Smart found that more than 385,000 of the early Democrat votes didn't vote at all in 2016. Across the state in Pittsburgh, Democrat analyst Mike stressed that Philadelphia isn't Biden's only path to flipping Pennsylvania. Mike noted that Trump won a Pittsburgh area congressional district by nearly 20 percentage points in 2016, only to watch Democrat Conor Lamb win a special congressional election there a year later. Lamb won a full term in 2018 and is heavily favored again Tuesday. Mike said that turn will help Biden run up a wide margin in Alpine County, the state's second most popular. He's got a real base, but there's just no evidence that he's done anything to reach anybody who didn't already like him in 2016, Mike said. And he's lost people who weren't sure about him, but were willing to take a gamble. It's not just about Philadelphia. And that does it for this news report right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this news report right here on the Riley King Network. Goodbye, everyone. Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for joining us for this evening edition. I hope you will have a wonderful rest of your Sunday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and goodbye, everyone.